Hello. Hey, people. So I'm going to get something out of the way just before I start because this is how I get people to like me. Who has the little cards in front of them? Raise them up. I put little note cards up. Gifts. I have gifts for you from my wonderful sponsors. So, yay. First thing to let people know, build relationships is give people gifts, people. They like you. People like you when you gift things unexpectedly. So just get that out of the way, or in the way, I like to say. Thank you for being here and showing up. I know that some of us trekked a long way to get here, and I appreciate you showing up for us. I want to thank Kit, Kyrie, and Nick for bringing this all together. Isn't this just awesome? So let's get started. Welcome to Barcelona. This is to remind myself where I was going to be today. But we're going to talk about how to network online and in person to build relationships. And I love that all the speakers didn't have note cards. You guys are wonderful. I need them just a little to remind myself of where I'm at. So I'm thanking you. And another thing, because Kit said she didn't know I lived on a boat. I've been on a boat for 2 years. But another thing people don't know about me is that I love popcorn. I married my husband 3 times, and as we get on today, the sweat that you see is just a little 5-year-old inside of me blowing up matches because she likes attention too. So just don't even worry about the sweat. Don't pay attention to just know the 5-year-old is acting up and I can't control her. I really can't. So this is what I call my relationship manifesto. I created this so that it reminds me of the people that I want to connect with. I suggest you do the same for anything. I do this for a lot of things, but really, I want to connect with, of course, entrepreneurs, right? Dream builders. We're all dream builders in here in one way or another. I love passionate visionaries. Oh my goodness. I love everyone you see up there. I love everyone I see. I never meet a stranger. Never meet a stranger. Everyone is always a friend when I first come in contact with them. So the first thing we're gonna cover today, the 3 C's to relationship building, what it takes to build authentic relationships, and how to nurture those relationships once we have them. Because I think we're all really good normally at building relationships and getting people in our circles. It's keeping them and nurturing them. That's what we want to do, keep them and nurture them. So let's get started. So the first key to building relationships is commitment. Commitment. And I say commitment because I had commitment issues. Serious commitment issues, not with just relationships, just with being out and about. I'm an introvert with extrovert. I'm a situational extrovert. I'm an introvert. And so I learned how to network, or the reason I started learning how to network and do this a lot online is because it took the face-to-face meeting out of the equation. And it made it easier for me to just show up. I could actually show up and be me more online than I could in person. Because, I don't know, for some reason I saw online all of my friends were they could say anything and everyone was okay with it. But when you're in person, you have this little bit of time, and then you only have one time to make a first impression, and sometimes some of the things you say aren't enough. So I learned how to do it really well online, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So when we talk about commitment, let me get there. I kind of know it, but I want to make sure I tell you everything. The thing about commitment is really about being committed to being in the relationship that you're in, wherever that is. So if you're committed to social media, be committed to social media. Be committed to spending that hour a day on social media, fostering your relationships. Be committed to showing up at network events and being committed to showing up for yourself. Because people need to know us, and when it comes to building businesses, we all know that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And this is why relationship building is so important. I think sometimes we get away from it, and I'll give an example is, Everyone gets a friend on Facebook, but not everyone gets the friend immediately who sends you requests to like their business page. I have this travel agency. I see that you travel a lot. You would love this travel agency. Watch this video. Immediately. It's just like walking up to this is what I consider walking up to a person in a networking meeting and sticking your tongue in their mouth. Does it, right? Some people do that, and it's just, I don't think it's because they don't know. We're all just so excited about our business. And yes, I get excited too. I got excited when I saw my husband. I told you I married him 3 times, but I didn't walk straight up to him and put my tongue in his mouth. We built the relationship first. So that's what I'm saying, relationships first. If you don't get anything out of what I say today, this is the most important. Build relationships first. Everything else comes. Once they know you, like you, and trust you, they love you, they do business with you in whatever capacity that is. And see that 5-year-old? She's just acting up. The second thing we want to talk about, okay, unless a commitment is made, there are no promise. They are only promise and hopes, but no plans. So we have to plan out our relationships. It sounds kind of funny, right? It's like a marriage, though. If you're in it for the long haul, you plan to be there. So what do you need to plan to be there? So the second C is community. You can't be a friend to yourself. I need all of you, or at least some of you, the ones who like me, right? And I believe this is me. I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but I think everyone likes me. And then every now and again, I run across someone who doesn't, and I'm thinking, what? You must don't know me. Oh, you don't like me? But sometimes people just don't like this. They don't want someone who skips around, may be happy all the time, because they may not be happy, and that's okay. So I had to be okay with everyone not liking me. But the thing about community is, on social media, mostly, because I do a lot of my networking on social media, but in person, is that you can tailor your community. You know, they say with family, we can't choose family. You know, blood is blood. You wish you could choose some of them. You wish you could get out of some family relationships that you can't. But you can create your own community as a business owner. Tailor it to anything you want. So a Facebook friend request come in. How many looks at the profiles of anyone who sends them a request before they say confirm? Yay. I suggest it every time. Just to see just if you can see a general. I always like to see who we have mutual friends, because then that tells me how we're going to usually communicate, what we'll talk about, the circles I'll be in. Sometimes I'm really sketchy about the people from my hometown. They're just being nosy. They don't really care about what I'm up to. They just want to know so they can talk. So I suggest that when you're building community, I suggest getting around as many people as get you as possible. So like when we have the 7 and 7 group set up for this. You could go in there and set up. You could go into groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. Just get into groups. You don't have to do your own community. If there are people in your list, I'm not really good at deleting people once they're on there, but I do know how to hide your posts. I do know how to hide your posts. So we have to remember that we are in control of our relationships. We are in total control. We don't have to be in any relationship we don't want to, and that's what I love about that. The third C is communication. Oh my God. Communicating, what does that mean? That really just means to me, like, making sure who's in the know needs to be in the know with what they're doing. That means being authentic in the things that you talk about. That means sharing sometimes when you don't feel like sharing, or asking for help. That was the worst thing it was my hardest lesson, asking for help. Because Jess said it, I believe earlier, when she said it, I giggled. When we ask for help, we think that all of a sudden we're weak and we don't know everything. But I figured out that asking for help and delegating is a good thing. I'm just gonna let the river flow and we'll be okay. So these are a few of the lovely sponsors who were responsible for me being able to bring you gifts today. So what it takes to build authentic relationships? A Zoom call with family and friends. You can see face to face, or Skype, right? You want to just connect. So when you think about building authentic relationships, you think about building relationships that are going to last. You think about building relationships with people that you can talk to about life and business. And if you need to separate that, that's cool too. You just know that you need to have people in your life that you can talk to about real shit. Have someone in your life you can call that you can cry to. And they won't give you any suggestions. They won't tell you that guy was so messed up you shouldn't have been with him anyway. They won't tell you that I thought that was a bad business idea when you told me it was. They're just gonna listen. You know who that person is. If you don't have that person, call me. I'm her. I'm her. You literally have to tell me to talk. If you didn't ask my opinion, I will not give it. And then if I really think I need to, can I share something with you? See how I did that? Can I share something with you? It looks so unassuming. It feels so unassuming. It's like, I don't know if I should say this, but I have something. I don't know if you're gonna like it, but I gotta say this. Sometimes we have that. The other thing about building authentic relationships is that we want to be present in our relationships. We live in a world that is so fast. Everything is like popcorn in a microwave. It goes at speeding light. All of a sudden somebody comes in your life, they're gone, they're fleeting, we're gone. We're flying here and there. We don't know where we are sometimes. So it's just sometimes you just have to take time and be present in the moment with whoever you are and give them your total attention. As if everyone to me has a sign. I don't know how there's a sign on your forehead when me and you are talking, I see it. And it says, you're the most important person in the world to me right now. What I haven't quite figured out is when someone else walks up and I have the most important person in front of me right now, and they start talking, how to really tell them, I'm talking to the president here. You're gonna have to wait your turn. I haven't figured that out yet. If anyone has a tip, I'll take it. I'll take it. But being present is really important to me. Paying attention, listening, physically listening, emotionally listening, being all in. Not halfway in, not checking your phone while they're talking, not Googling something that they said they had because you don't know what the hell it is. Wait a minute. Just wait and listen. Ask the question when it comes, but be present in the moment, right there with them right now. The other thing when it comes to building authentic relationships is that you want to get around people that put you on fire. They set you ablaze. They inspire you. They motivate you. They make you feel good about yourself. They tell you the truth. They'll cut you when you need to be cut. But for the most part, they're there for you. You know who you can call, because remember, at first we created this community. We surrounded ourselves with people who got us. We deleted the people who didn't. So now we have people who really know who we are. They know our ins and outs. They know that KeeKee married her husband 3 times. They know that she loves popcorn. If you want to send KeeKee some gifts, popcorn is it. It's an unhealthy addiction, and I don't care who feeds it. I don't care who feeds it. It's popcorn. I'm addicted. Okay. I know that it's kind of hard when you think about strangers to say that you might want to love them. And I come off a bit pushy when you first meet me. I'm going to tell you, if you're somebody that I feel connected with, you're my new BFF. And I'm going to tell you that. Tell them your intentions. I don't want you to think that, is she stalking me? Or sometimes I have friends and I say, I'll send you a message. Hey, I'm just checking in on you. Nothing? Okay. Number 2. Hey, what's going on? You all right? Nothing? Okay. Third one, do I need to get on a plane? Do I need to get on a train? What is going on? Are you okay? What's happening? And My number one new best tool is, if you're on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. However, I'm an audio girl. I love audio messages. You know why? Because it takes me too long to type. Sometimes I can't spell. iPhone puts things in that I type this and it thinks it's supposed to be this, so I'm just, in less than 60 seconds, I can get a message out and it's very clear. If you haven't used it, my people love it. But I'm gonna tell you, when I first started getting audio messages, I was like, damn, now I gotta log on and listen to a message? But yes, because if people love to hear your voice, like I know, I know this only because people told me. I'm not tooting my own horn. I didn't get it for probably 2 years. Everyone would say, I just wanna hear your voice, I just wanna hear your voice. And my voice, what? I hear it and it sounds sometimes like a man, right? Because it gets so deep, sometimes like a woman. How can you like that? But people love it. So I leave messages. That's what I do. So we're gonna talk about, these are my people. I love them. So we're gonna talk about, really, this is the most important thing, nurturing your relationships. Because we get on the road and we spend a lot of time away from our family and our friends. And Michelle said it yesterday, it's more about quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. So how do you nurture these relationships when you're on the go all the time? How do you let people know that you love them and that you really want to be a part of your life when you may not see them for 3 years? Let me tell you how. I already mentioned Zoom, Skype, telephone, postcards, write a letter. I'd like you to remember my birthday. I don't understand why people wouldn't. It's the first day of spring. But then everyone's gonna say, well, what is that? Is that March 21st or the 20th? Well, on the calendar every year it says the 20th. It's the 20th. But you remember their birthdays. You call out of the blue just to say I love you, or just to say I was thinking of you. The rule is, and I'm gonna tell you, I used to hate it when I heard this rule as a child, but it makes so much sense now at 45. Treat people the way you wanna be treated. It really comes down to that basic. It's so basic. The things that you think you want from other people, they want it from you. So the way that you want people to nurture you when you're in a relationship, give it away. The more you give, the more you receive. Love, likes, lust, whatever it is. But nurturing relationships is about going back to commitment. Remember, I told you I had commitment issues. For years, I would say, I couldn't go to, okay, so I said I was an introvert. But this whole thing with sweating, when I went to networking events, this is what would happen. And it really is just, I call it the 5-year-old, but for me, it's really just nervous and excitement energy, and this is how it comes out of my body. But see, no one else would understand that in a 1-hour networking meeting. No one sees, and I don't sweat when I'm behind the computer. Well, I might, but you don't see me. You don't see me. You're not distracted by it. That's probably why, it's definitely why I went online. But at the same time, I knew that I was having a lot of time in between. I'm from Michigan. I moved from Michigan to Colorado with my 2 kids until back in 2013, and my family was livid. My mom was pissed. For a whole year, every time I'd call her just to say I love you or say, she would be cursing me out for taking her grandkids so far away, and that, someone would have to hang up because this was gonna get really bad. So I had to figure out, how do I make this thing work where I can be happy and she can be happy? I'm telling you, it was 2003, that I moved from Colorado to Colorado, to 2003. She's still not happy. My mother, she'd be okay with me and my two sisters, and our 3 husbands, and our 6 kids living under the house with her, in the roof with her, as long as she knows where we are and where she's coming. She'd do our laundry, cooking everything, and make her happy. We know this, but we'd be miserable. So we had to figure out, how can I make this work? And it wasn't just my mother. I have two grandmothers that are still living, 95 and 89. This was a source of guilt. My mom could guilt me with my grandmothers. You need to come back. They're not going to be here long. So I had to figure out, how do I get away with that? Now, my grandmother loves letters. This is what I came up. Now, I've been writing my grandmother a letter for 2 years. She hasn't gotten it yet. I haven't wrote it on paper yet either. However, in the last 2 years, I've seen her 3 times. I've been back to Michigan 3 times just to see my grandmother. So we have to decide sometimes when we're nurturing these relationships, is it okay for us to go home right now? I mean, sometimes we just don't think, because we're just going and going and going, because there's so much going on in our lives and there's so much in this world. Who wants to slow down and go home? I'm telling you, when I go back to Michigan, I can only stay no more than 7 days. It's too slow in that place. They don't think like I do. They don't talk like I do. They don't even think I really have a job. But then I say I don't have a job either. Every time I say I'm working, I put it in parentheses, because I play for a living. We spent last year Christmas with my husband's family. We hadn't seen his family in maybe 2 or 3 years, not to actually have physical time with them, space. We talk to them all the time. I still call my mother and father before I leave any state or country and let them know where I'm going to be. So when we're nurturing these relationships, I say, let who needs to be in the know be in the know. Make them feel a part of your journey. Because I think what it is that sometimes we get so far away and so cut off that when they don't see us, they think that because they're out of sight, that they're out of our minds. And what we don't want is for them to think that we've forgotten about them. So we want to constantly be thinking about ways to love the people in our life, build them up while we're still building our businesses and building our communities. Sure, we have to continue to build and grow. We're meeting new people all the time, but there are people in your life that you just want to stay connected to. And you want to be with them in any capacity. I don't necessarily like talking on the phone. I'm telling you, when I get my grandmother on the phone, one of them, my mother's mother, she's always the same questions from both of them, really. How's the kids? How's your husband? Everything okay? She really wants to know about my husband. My grandmother, she loves my husband. That big mama, she loves my husband. My other grandmother, the 95-year-old, she's in early stages, Alzheimer's. So sometimes we're talking about things that I don't necessarily know, but I did learn something interesting. I thought this was very interesting. My grandmother was an entrepreneur before I knew that there was what an entrepreneur was. My whole life growing up, she was a surgical nurse, but on the side, in her basement, she had a full salon down there. So on the weekends, she'd do hair. She would do hair. But now when she talks, you just don't know what time and period, but whatever she's saying, it's perfect for right then. Crazy how that happens, but I love it. I never know where she is. Last time we were talking about her daughter, not my aunt, her daughter that she sent to school. I don't think she knew who I was at this point, because she asked me if I had kids and if I had a daughter. And if I do, I don't know if you guys know this, I didn't know it. Must be old school, but you send your girls to school so that they can get a man. That's what she sent my aunt to school for. And she says she didn't get one. Now she's going to have to take care of herself. Imagine that. A grown woman having to take care of herself. I thought it was the funniest stuff ever. So I'm thinking she had to be at least back in the 50s then when she was talking to me. But when it comes down to it, I have this quote. I know it by heart, but I'm going to say it. People may forget what you said. People may forget what you did. They will never forget how you made them feel. Never forget how you made them feel. So when you think about these relationships, you go into these relationships that you're building, we all have met new people. You think about from this point on, how do I continue to be in this relationship? How am I going to show up for my friends and family? How do I show up for myself? How do I want them to show up for me? And it's not, and sometimes we let them, not sometimes, we have to let them know how we want to be treated as well. I finally had to tell my mother, you're gonna have to get over it. I'm not coming back to Michigan. There are, at this now, 47 more states that I could go to, and at least 100 countries before I would have to move back to Michigan. It's not gonna happen. And I had to be okay with her not being okay with that. I had to be okay with not getting the support that I needed, or I thought I needed. But I had to remember that I've built communities and I have mothers all over. I have more than one. I have friends and sisters all over. I have sisters from another mother, brothers from another mother. And I absolutely love it, this family that I've created. So all in all, this is what we want to be. This is what we want to be. We have so much going on in the world right now. So much. And the only way that we can change it in our little space right here is just to be that change. Just to be that change. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, KeeKee. Give it up for KeeKee, everyone. So get your questions ready. My first question is, I love what you said about writing a letter and actually like that way of engaging. So another friend of mine said that recently too. It can be overwhelming, like when you have so many people in your life you want to connect with. Mm-hmm. How do you think there's a limit to the number of people you can engage with on that level, on that really personal level?
I do not believe there is a limit. I believe that I work off of energy in a space. And so this is energy that we're putting out. But you have to know that where your energy lies. And if it's too much to deplete you, then it's too much. Or you schedule people. Maybe grandma's in November and big mama's in December. Maybe you just think at once a month, you think of, okay, who do I need to connect with? Who haven't I talked to in a moment? Who have I forgotten about? Who haven't I seen in a moment? But no, I do not believe there's a limit.
Hey, I like that optimism. Question, back there, Michelle, hi.
Hi, KeeKee. Thank you so much. That was a lovely talk. I don't know about anybody else, but I think the aura around this woman and the warmth is just incredible. And I think anybody here would be very happy to be your friend.
Oh, thank you.
But I do have a question about volume. So in the early days when we're building communities and we have a few members and we start a group and we know everyone and connecting everyone and we're staying in touch, and then we start building a mailing list, and then it feels like it becomes less and less connected to the individual, and then there's only like a very select few individuals you end up, like following through on. I mean, how do you deal with those volumes? Like I have like 56,000 Twitter followers and 14,000 Facebook fans, and I'm just like,
oh, no.
You want to devote your time?
Oh, no. People stick out.
There is a limit.
Right. So then in that case, yes. No, I'm talking about literally personal connections, like people that you've connected with, like Hannah. Her and I connected, and I couldn't wait to meet her when I got here. So I'll follow her because I love her eyes. She mesmerizes me. So her, every now and again, I'll stalk her page. Sometimes they don't know I'm stalking them, and then every now and again I go back and say, I've been stalking you for a couple weeks. Can we talk? Can we talk? So yes, I believe that no, there are people that just stick out. There are people who just want to connect with you. And I'm really, not everyone who wants to connect with me, I don't want to connect with. I don't play with everyone in the sandbox. Because everyone doesn't make me feel good. And there are certain triggers. I have triggers. We all have triggers. Where you'll say, no, you're not a good fit. Just like clients. So I guess back to, yes, there is a limit. But I was thinking of the just like literally personal connections, people that I really want to get to know and people that really want to get to know me that make me feel good. No, but I don't try to keep up with all thousands. Some of those I look and try to invite people to stuff and I'm like, where'd you come from? And then all of a sudden I'm stalking them. All of a sudden I have
stalking.
I have stalking tendencies.
Another question? No? Okay. All right.
Yay.
We do. I know you guys can probably smell lunch, but we have one more presentation. First of all, give it up for KeeKee.
Thank you.